Hey everyone, this is Karen from Blue Rooster Farms, and today is Saturday. It is a beautiful day in May. We're in the middle of May. We're in northern Missouri, and we are out here getting yard work done. We're weeding, we're mowing, we're planting some more seeds, some beans, and I believe corn. So I thought I'd let you come on out with us and check and see what we're doing. And let me show you some of the plants that we had purchased earlier in the year and where we've got them planted and how they're doing. So stay tuned and we'll show you what's going on here. All right, we're out here in the first garden and you can see everything's growing really well. And I'm here with my husband, Andy. Andy, you want to say hi?
Hi.
um, he's been putting hay mulch all over the garden. You want to tell us what you're doing right now, hon?
They were just catching up on this bed, the west side here. Um, this corn. Well, we start out with, we covered that, yeah,
No, we have. Let's just go on up here to
lettuce
the
up
top.
above.
Trying not to be bumpy, so moving slow.
Up here in the top bed, we usually have our different kinds of greens, lettuce and some herbs, and then cabbage, and we got a little celery here on the end, and that celery's carry over. It survived the winter. It's
Yeah, I
coming
think it's
back.
probably going to seed out, don't you? Do
Yeah,
you
it
think it's
might
kind of
bolt
like
on us.
parsley?
Yeah, I might do
But I
that.
can use the leaves for flavoring in
But
soups and stuff.
this lettuce is all volunteer on the edge of the bed here also, and then our planted lettuce is on the back side in that row. We've got some cabbage and herbs down on the far end.
Yeah, we just planted a few heads of cabbage this year because it's hard for us to go through very many heads. And I've already got coleslaw canned and some relish, cabbage relish canned from last year, so we're good on that. And I've got some herbs over here. These were the ones that reseeded, and that's lots of parsley, and we have some cilantro, and then I've thrown in some, I guess that's parsley growing there, and I've got some basil that I've thrown in over here, and it's just starting to sprout. But this is kind of a little bit of a shaded area in the summer, so we can put some of our cooler crops that need a little cooler weather. And then we're over here and we're at the potatoes.
This is one of the few insect pests we have that cause us trouble, and that's a potato beetle. So they lay they're kind of a bright orange eggs, and then they have the funky kind of salmon colored larvae that come out that look like something from a sci-fi movie, and they will eat the leaves. And we seem to have a lot of them this year.
We were seeing some last year, and so I think
Yep.
they laid a lot of eggs.
Evidently overwintered pretty well.
Right. And you want to tell them about what we do as far as fertilizing and pest control, or?
Yeah, I really don't do much other than picking the potato beetles off or smashing their eggs, that kind of thing, individual plant wise. Don't want to spray anything. Um, then compost everything in the fall, and then we do our planting, of course, in the spring. And on the potatoes, and these have kind of gotten away from me, but you see on this side is I've got them hilled up, and then I'll compost in to fill in all those low spots, and then we'll mulch on top of it. I haven't hilled those potatoes up over there. They're really really growing fast now.
They look good. And we're not growing as many potatoes this year because we have lots canned, and I still have some bags of frozen small potatoes that we use. So we're basically just getting enough potatoes to have fresh potatoes through the summer. So, and you want to talk about like how we've got grass growing between each of these beds?
Yeah, that's just, I don't know, more happenstance than anything. These first two beds, I tilled the where the grass is. That this was all solid garden. Where the grass is, I tilled it up and I threw it on top of the bed above it just to give it more topsoil and more depth. And then I kind of got away from that. One, it's a lot of work and a lot of trouble to go to, and I don't think it's necessary because I've stopped doing that on all the rest of it. And so these, I still treat them as beds. You know, our beds basically here to here.
Show that again.
Our beds are here to here on this corn, like that's one bed. So then we have a walkway in between here that we keep mulched all the time. So then in the fall, I'll compost just that area where the corn is, and that'll be our. So it kind of gradually, naturally raises it up, and as you increase your organic matter things in it.
And we've been here for 25 years, or close to 25
Right.
years.
Yep.
And so, I mean, we started doing this a long time ago, and so this was already a garden bed when we moved in at this homestead.
Well, this was all on.
But I mean, it had been a garden at one time.
Yeah, well, it had been a cattle lot at one time.
Yeah.
And like this whole bottom half, you couldn't get on it until almost June usually. It'd just be wet and nasty and really heavy soils. And so we've just kind of, over the years, keep doing that every year, building that up. Last time I tested, we had about 8% organic matter on this garden. That's pretty good.
And we do have sheep, which is what we use, the manure and the hay from the barn.
Yep.
Is what we compost, and then he takes, I guess, loads of that and puts it on in the fall.
Yep.
And then sometimes he'll add some in the spring too, depending on what we're doing. But that's all that we fertilize with, so we don't add any.
And you can see we grow really good corn and everything just that way, and corn's got good color on it. We get good yields out of it, so haven't had any trouble that way. You can see on these onions, I rake some of the yard clippings, the grass. That's just kind of nice to be able to work in smaller plants, work in and around the smaller plants. That way it's not pretty fine and it works in really nicely. The mulch does, A, it's a weed barrier. B, it helps retain your moisture. C, it's helps keep your soil temperatures down. And then D, it adds to your organic matter over time too. That'll all break down and be worked in and with the compost in the fall. Now, try not to walk on the actual beds if we can help it, because that causes a lot of compaction and you can't get rid of that once you do it in the season you do it in, at least. Right over the winter, the freezing and thawing will kind of break things up, but your compaction really limits your water infiltration then.
And we've planted a lot of onions, and you can see they're really close. What we do is we plant them close, and throughout the growing season, we thin them by picking them to eat them and use them in cooking. And by the time they're starting to get really big heads, they have plenty of room to grow. And I was going to say something about the corn. This is a new variety for us, and I believe it's a new variety altogether.
Yeah, and it's a 62-day corn. So we've never planted any of that short of season corn, so I'm curious to see how that works. But we did it in the first half of April, so we should have corn by mid to late June if it holds true. So kind of curious about that. So we've got that, and then we're staging our corn, and we've got 2 other plantings of corn we're going to do.
Yeah, and we'll show you where they're planted here in the second garden here in a second. And right here in front of the corn, we have a new strawberry bed that we just started. We had to till our old one up because it was getting so weedy and it was getting older. So we just replanted this year, and so these should be bearing next year and have a nice crop. And then at the very bottom of the garden over here, we got beans in really early. When did you get beans in?
Yeah, this same time as that corn, so it had to be around the 10th of April, somewhere in that
Which is
range.
really not a normal
Pretty early
thing.
for up here.
Yeah, up here. And we're going to have blooms probably soon. It's really looking good. We also have a sparse row of spinach. It just didn't come up as well as we hoped, but sometimes spinach does really well, sometimes it doesn't. We've had an odd spring, either real warm or cool, but mostly we've had just some sporadic heat, and I think that affects it. So we're going to turn around here. I'm going to try not to do it too fast so you don't get sick. All right, so we're going to go over here to the second bed, and you'll notice we have electric wire around our gardens because this guy right here, he is a teenager right now, and he loves to dig. And if we have it open, we just don't know what our garden will look like in the morning. So we keep it, the fence electrified, and he's only touched it once and learned his lesson. This guy right here, he's not any problem. He's an older dog, and Buster's easy to get along with. But these young ones,
he's our main garden threat.
Yeah. And you can tell he's ornery. But it's also, we put them up usually in the later summer when our corn's getting ripe, because we do have raccoons up here, and that helps with the raccoons. But we put it up early this year because of our dog. So here we come over here, and this is our second bed. And when we were first starting out, our beds were quite a bit wider, but as we've gardened, we've learned to compact some of it, and now that it's just the two of us living here, we don't need as much produce, so we're just kind of cutting back a little bit. But tell us what you've got going on here.
These bottom couple beds are just prepped for seeding. We're going to do another planting of green beans, and up above we'll do another planting of corn, and we have a intermediate planting of corn on the very top bed up there.
And we'll go up there in just a second.
Yep.
And then I just put some cucumbers against this white picket fence over here. I just planted some seeds, so we're hoping those will come up soon. We have a gooseberry bush right here, and we know that there are some little rabbits inside there, and the electric fence doesn't seem to bother them, but they have been eating all my germinated zinnias. As they come up, they're eating my little zinnia seedlings. So I've been fighting them as far as having to reseed and reseed and reseed. So I reseeded again yesterday or the day before, and we're just hoping that those little rabbits grow up, move out, and we get I get my flowers back. But we'll see. We might have to do some kind of a intervention. Yes.
You can. This is actually sheep fence here that I use out in the pasture. You can get garden fence that's smaller spacing and all that would keep rabbits out. We may have to go to something like that and be handier. I think you could step over it too. So.
And these gooseberries are just loaded this year. I've got a recipe of gooseberry raspberry jelly that I'm getting ready to put out. So if you're wanting to know what to do with gooseberries, I'll be having a recipe for you soon.
You have to combine them with something else.
He calls gooseberries a filler. Unless you've grown up with gooseberries, it's kind of like black walnuts. You don't care for them unless you've grown up with them. All right, so here we have, okay, so these are the pepper plants that I purchased earlier in the season, and I showed everybody. If you didn't see that, there's a video at my channel, and we've got a whole bunch of varieties in here, and so they are all planted. Andy's going to go in and mulch those as soon as he thinks that they're just tall enough. It looks like he kind of started here.
Yeah, I need to get that done this weekend.
Yep, in fact, he's got some over here mulched already. So you can see he mulches really heavily, and you can barely see the plants in there, but once they get a little taller, they'll pop out of there, and it will be fine. Then those tomato plants that I purchased are all through here. And what kind of caging, fencing are you going to do this year?
Well, we'll do those panels. The the tomato cages that you can buy at the store, they're okay for pepper plants, but to me, the indeterminate tomatoes that just keep growing and growing, they're ridiculously too small. So I've got some old cattle panels, bent up cattle panels that I'll put in with fence posts and try and use those. And they're they're around 8 feet tall, I think, and we'll still have the tomatoes will outgrow those even. So.
Yeah, and we've had really tall tomatoes. We have good luck with tomatoes, and again, this is kind of cutting back on our tomatoes, but we do a lot with tomatoes as far as preserving all sorts of tomato products, from tomato sauce, tomato paste, uh, crushed tomatoes, tomato spaghetti sauce, ketchup, barbecue sauce, you name it, and lots of salsa. We make it, and we go through all of that. And now, is this corn here?
That'll be corn. I haven't planted it
Okay.
yet. I tried a couple times. I plant it and let it come up and have to weed it and hoe it a little bit till it gets some size, and then mulch it afterwards. And the first bed up above there, and then this bed I'm trying to mulch ahead, and then I'll just plant in those little bare spots, strips in between, and that seemed to work pretty good on that other corn.
So this is the second corn he planted, and it's at
Yeah,
this
that's a
stage.
75-ish day corn, and this will be a 82-day corn that we do in this other bed over here. So we should have corn from, late June, well into August, sweet corn that we can eat corn on the cob.
And then another item that Andy calls filler are my zucchini plants, and they are just starting to come up. But I've got lots of recipes that use zucchini, and I'll be sharing those with you. And we have such a hard time with the squash bugs that we'll get usually a good amount, plenty of zucchini, and then the plants get overtaken because, again, we don't spray or anything. If we look in the background there, we have apple trees, peach trees, plum trees. Our older apple trees are full of apples this year. We've got to get out there and thin them. There's elderberry bushes. There are grapevines, pear trees, and here we have, in this thicket, we have a couple of different kinds of raspberries. These are kind of and I don't know the variety right offhand, but they're one that gets to be a light purple, and they're really large, and they're really good. Boy, and we've got the pollinators today. And over here, you'll see some right here too, just thick. Over here, we have a variety that is black. No, yeah, these are black, yeah. They start off red, and when they blacken up is when you pick them. And again, they are just loaded. As long as we get enough rain and don't get anything that tears the plants up, we are going to have berries. And then our zucchini, or not zucchini, I'm sorry, our asparagus is just about finished. It's all going to plants. And so we've had tons of asparagus. We've been eating asparagus every night for weeks. But, and then of course our peonies, it's going to be in the 80s today, and these poor peonies don't know how to take the hot temperature. But they are beautiful and smell good. I've got the house full of them. Got some roses over there. Blackberries over by the barn. And then some blackberries right over here. They're all tame. But everything is looking really good. And this is the time of year we really enjoy getting out because it's not nearly as hot, but and the weeds, we've got them under control, but as the summer progresses and it gets hotter, it's harder to get out here. But our crops do usually really, really well, and we'll have plenty to put up and plenty to eat.
Okay, we use these little earthway planters for a lot of stuff that we do. Anything we plant with seed, even, I mean, from lettuce on up to corn and beans, they have different size plates in here for all the different sizes. A great big one for beans, and get smaller and smaller, and that also controls your spacing, how they arrange those cups. And so you just slide the one that you want in, it just rotates in here. You knock that off. This is a corn one, which is what we're going to plant, so we want that one in. So you just slide it up with the grooves and then rotate it, and if the white thing rotates, you can just hold it by holding that belt there. Just finger hold it, turn it clockwise, and you're good to go. And we're going to go with it's a 82-day corn. And it's Illini Extra Sweet. It's 85-day actually. We haven't planted this kind before. Gus, no. I won't need that much, but I usually dump everything in, and then you can dump it right back out into the bag after you're done planting. You set your planting depth with this little shoe right here, and it's got your measurements and depth. And corn usually about 1.5 inches deep is what I use. And it's got a little chain on back to kind of fill in, and the press wheel front and back that help get the seed in a good firm seed bed. So all there is to it. I usually go back again just to make sure I've got enough good stand, because I can always thin a stand out, but if I don't get a good stand, then I have to replant, and it's a delay. That's all there is to it. That one's done.
So that was super easy. Then he'll just do the next 2 rows the same way. And you can walk slow because it's just that wheel turning, where you can walk fast. It won't change the distance between the seeds. So
if you're really particular, you can lay out pull a line across so you're doing a nice straight row, but I mean, we're not going to cultivate in between this corn or anything like that, so the straightness of the row and even the spacing isn't super critical.
all right, that's how we plant our seeds, from lettuce to corn to beans. And let's see, you did the spinach this way, and
Yep.
Trying to think what else we've planted this way.
Anything from seed.
Yep, anything.
We can.
Yep. So that's really easy. They're really lightweight, easy to use.
Okay, so we got that corn done. You can see I've got quite a bit of seed left over. We always buy extra. You can just dump it back in. Always keep that in case we need another planting or something. And I've got to change out, this is a corn disc, so I've got to change out to my bean cup. It just comes out. See? These are jade beans. We've had really good luck with those.
Yeah, they're really nice beans. Jade, jade.
Okay, and if you're particular about road spacing, they have this little flag that you can lower down, and that'll slide all along that beam there to get the spacing you want. We usually do double rows of beans, 2 rows pretty close together.
So that drew a line, didn't it?
Yep, put a line for you to follow on the way back.
Oops.
And if I can help it, and I don't have it mulched, I don't try not to walk on the actual bed. It's just going to cause a lot of compaction.
And like he said, he's doing 2 passes just in case something doesn't get seed. And this way he can always thin.
That's
So
it.
we've got a double row right there, and then we'll do another double row right over here. So we'll have plenty of beans in that spot. All right, there you go. All right, so the garden looks really, really good. Then around the house, I have potted up a lot of those plants and those herbs that I purchased at the greenhouse about a month ago now. Took a while to get them out into the garden because we had so much rain. Finally got them out, and they've been out for a couple weeks now. So we're going to go over and take a look at how they're doing. Our droopy peonies. Just such big flowers, and now we're getting such heat. Got lots of mint underneath this bush. But here are 2 big herb plants that I have. And I've got parsley. And this is my stevia plant. I got some sage the other day. Curly leaf parsley. Oregano. There we go. And chives. And then I got a little alyssum in there just for color. Kind of a pot filler. In my big galvanized trash cans, I have petunias and some gladiolas. And I only have that filled about halfway full of dirt because the bottom part I put empty milk jugs and things that were lightweight, so it's a little easier to move. It's still quite heavy, but a little easier. Got one on both sides. Same things in them. We have another herb pot with the same things, I believe, in it. This is my last year's chives. Got a weed right there. And you can see that they're doing pretty good, but this had been about half the pot full. The winter was just too rough on them. And these are really pretty flowers. They're just starting to open up in the sun. They are gazanias and just beautiful. They love heat. They like well-drained soil. They open up in the sun and close when it's cloudy or evening. I've got some self-seeders. That's some of the blue sage in there, and a few petunias that just self-seeded from last year. Let's see, that's some blue, or I guess that's blue salvia, blue sage, and alyssum, and some more chives. This pot will probably just become chives after this year. I'll just keep it as chives. My rosemary is growing really well, getting big. Those were just little teeny things when I bought them. They will just really take off. Great herb to dry. Get those weeds out. Great herb to dry and use for seasoning on chicken. Here's a pot that I will keep of parsley, and it's got both the curly and the flat leaf. And I'll probably overwinter this pot. I usually try to overwinter a pot so that I have that for cooking during the winter. And then my purple sage, I was noticing I need to deadhead this. So when you start getting these blossoms, you need to pick them off. Otherwise, your basil will go to seed and you won't have any leaves. I actually probably should go ahead and trim that down and use those leaves, and then it'll grow more. And then this is just some petunias that came back from last year from seed. They were wave petunias, and they usually come back and are really, really pretty, even though they're all different colors, different size flowers. These snapdragons come back every year, and they are always just so, so pretty. They are just the deepest red. And this is just a landscape lined, gravel covered spot, and they are just doing perfect in it. Antique wheelbarrow that is full of self-seeding petunias, some snapdragons in the back, some oregano, and some sage. My clematis back there is blooming. That's a pretty kind of a magenta. I can't see very well since the sun is shining so brightly on my screen, so I hope that's coming through. This is a crepe myrtle, and up here in the north, they usually die back all the way and then come back from the roots, and then it'll be a full bush, a good sized bush, and blooming beautifully at the end of July usually. And we've got some petunias and glads here. And right now we are in the process of redoing some landscaping. We had to dig a pipe that had broken, our water pipe, and so we are going to have to go back in and cover all this and gravel it and put the gravel trim back in. It's finally leveling out and the dirt has finally sunken in, so that's one of our to-do things here soon. Of course, I've got our hanging baskets with petunias. Got a couple different kinds of hydrangeas. I think these are pink peewee or PG or something. I forgot what those were called. They're little pink long ones. And then just your white hydrangea. Here are some of the plants that I got from the garden greenhouse. Got the blue salvia in the middle. And then I've got the red and the white. Oh, the name has just left me. I'll put it up on the screen. But it is doing really, really well, and that will just be completely full and draped over. I think I'm going to get some, I've got some growing of the white and green vine that you see in a lot of container plants, and I've got some just that comes up around the yard. I think I'll dig that up and put that around the edges, and that'll be pretty. Here we have mint, peonies, ferns, hostas, and there's a lily over there just growing. My Weigelia is just about finished blooming. Pretty, pretty. Bad thing about flowering shrubs and spring flowering things is they flower so quickly and you hardly get to enjoy them, and then they wilt. Going around here, our spirea has already bloomed and it needs to be trimmed. We'll be trimming that here soon. This is what we used to call our secret garden when the boys were little. It has a picket fence around it, but right now we took our old picket fence down. We've got our new vinyl one. It's right over there. Getting the posts dug, getting ready to put all of that back. This is full of a lot of perennials, lilies, black-eyed Susan, purple coneflower, white coneflower, sweet William, ferns, honeysuckle. Let's see, there were some lily of the valley. There were some daffodils earlier. Right now, what you can't see is the stone pathway because of the digging of the post holes. They've covered it up right now. There'll be a gate right here, and then it'll be all enclosed. I've had a water feature in there that's really nice, and you can hear it from the bedroom windows. That'll be finished here soon, and we'll show you what that looks like when it's done. I have I think it's limelight hydrangea here, and it's doing really, really well. I think I have a milkweed growing here, and the milkweed is really good for monarchs, so we're just going to leave that. Now, Digger has been in this bed, and I've replanted a couple of those plants after he dug them out, so it's not looking real good right now, but it should do better. Those are impatiens. This is a shady area, and they'll like this area. Some more hydrangeas. More hydrangeas. I'm going to turn you around here, and I want you to see our cherry tree. You can see the cherries on it, and they are all getting red. Probably another week, week and a half, we are going to be picking cherries. Just full. There'll be plenty for the birds and for us. So let's see, we're going around the house here. Here we have some black-eyed Susan vine and petunias. These are wave petunias, just getting started. And you see the hot wire going right here too. We're hoping that we can take this down soon after he learns. Petunias, and here is that vine that I want to put around those pots. It's a vinca vine. This is a yellow black-eyed Susan. It will climb up the trellis there, and then the wave petunias, the bottom. More wave petunias. You can see they're just getting started. And then another orange black-eyed Susan with wave petunias. And here is another one that Digger got into, but it's coming out of it. This is the one by the door. Geraniums, and this is what I couldn't remember a while ago, verbena. Verbena is over in those two pots, the red and the white. And this is a really pretty verbena. Look at that. It's just a beautiful color. And so I need to get in here and deadhead some of those. This right here is a really pretty blue. I don't have the tag here. You can see this one here. It's like a neon, beautiful royal blue. And that'll come down all down along the pot. I can't wait to see that one. We have some fern and lots of hostas. A lot of hostas there. Some more wave petunias. Some more of that vinca vine. Monarda bee balm. This is a beautiful flower. It's a bright pink perennial that will be great for pollinators, hummingbirds, um, the butterfly love it. It'll be beautiful this summer. It'll bloom throughout the summer. Here we have lilies, and they'll be orange and yellow, I believe, is the colors here. I've also thrown in some zinnia and some marigold seeds and some blank spots. Our irises are just finishing up. They were spectacular, these purple and light purple ones. And we've got this pot over here next to the electric fence because old Digger was getting into it, but again, we're hoping to get him where he's not doing this anymore. But there's another Ganzania like we had in the back. The clematis over here is just about done. It's beautiful. My bee balm I cut. We had a lot of bee balm. Drying that. More lilies. There were more irises. This one was a yellow one, just finishing up. Got some self-seeded petunias in here and in here. Those will be pretty hanging over. These are all self-seeded and these are blooming. You can see that these have full blooms. Let me get to where you can see them here, where I can see the screen. These are all coming up from a plant that we had here, or plants that we had in this pot last year. It's self-seeded. Looks like we got lots of pinks and purples. Really pretty. Same here. I did put one stevia plant in the middle, but these are all self-seeded plants that I've just thinned out from others. And these are self-seeded petunias as well. This one looks like we got lots of hot pinks and purples. And here we got a weed. Let me get that out of there. Lamb's quarters is a very popular weed up here. Okay. Thanks everyone for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed the tour of our garden. Come back and we'll show you how things are growing at another time. Hopefully the flowers will all be billowing from their containers and everything will be looking beautiful. Again, thanks for stopping by, and if you like what you see, please subscribe. Thank you.